Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 2 of our first Halloween project. Now part 1 was a little gauge swatch that you needed to make to get the measurements right for your size, your hook size and your yarn. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you have not created part 1 first, please check the description box or the more section down below of this video. Go ahead, do part 1 and then return. You need to do your gauge swatch to make sure that we are in sync with our size of project, all right? Because we want to make sure our size fits us. And if you're working on a different tension and so on, sometimes that can be loose or tighter, so it can come across different in size. So please do the gauge swatch first. That's all I'm going to say about that. Once again, a very special thank you to the lovely Pamela. She chose a mystery color for our tutorial. That mystery pack was opened on part 1, which was the beautiful red you see right here. Now I'm creating this particular top for my little black dress that I'm wearing, so it's to go over the little black dress. Okay, so that's what I'm making mine for. If you wanted to make yours for whatever color you like to go over your dress, or to wear over a singlet top, or whatever it is that you want to wear yours, remember, just remember that it is quite open lace. That's the idea. It's quite even summery look if you like. You can actually make something like this and put it over a nice singlet top in summer. So there you go. And spring as well. So there you go. Look, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to get started. We are using this cotton right here. You don't have to use cotton. You can use acrylic, you can use wool, you can use whatever you like. Now this is 50% cotton and 50% acrylic. It's a Brighton cotton 8-ply DK weight, 3 weight, half cotton, half acrylic. But it is a 3 weight. Make sure you are using your 3 weight cotton, all right? Now you can use wool on acrylic, either way. Now this is a yarn that is purchased from Australia, one of our largest stores, which is, upside down, hello. Which is Spotlight here in Melbourne, Australia. Now you can again purchase your cotton anywhere you like. You don't have to have the same dye lot as me. I bought this a long time ago, so they may not have this dye lot anyways. So long as you have a similar red, or you once again can use any color you like for your top. And know that I have left my tails quite long on the side seams, so keep that in mind if you are anything like me and would like to use your change of yarn, because this is a 50-gram skein. It got halfway through or quarter of the way through and I had to add a new skein. If you wanted to use your change of yarn to sew up the side seams, you can. Otherwise, just weave it in and add a new yarn once we're ready to sew up the side seams. All right, but don't stress too much. We'll talk about that in part 3. Part 2 is all about the back and creating the back. You will need what I used, which is a 4.5mm hook. But once again, when you make your gauge swatch, it will tell you which hook size you need for your tension. All right, but I'm using a 4.5mm hook, and the cotton is 8-ply DK weight, 3 weight. So anything 3 weight for you should be fine. All right, so what can I say? The lovely Pamela chose a surprise pack on our Live Antics Saturday mornings. We have a live every Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Marry that up with your country. And she chose to open up her pack as a surprise on the actual initial part 1. Okay, of our video. So we did that. We opened up the pack and the yarn was in the pack. Now we are doing surprise packs where we pop a surprise pack on the shelf, and usually there's 2 or 3 packs, and I say, right, choose 1, 2 or 3, pick one of them. And Pamela chose pack whatever it was. I think it was pack 2 from memory. And she said, don't open it now on the live. I want you to open it on the actual tutorial, which is what we did last week. Very exciting. Anyway, this week is now part 2. We are creating the back of your piece. And as you can see, it's really quite big for some people because we're a little bit not so thin. But you're creating the back of your piece today. And you will get to the second last row today. And I'll say to you, right, head off on your own and repeat rows, whatever it was, until you get to your second last row. At the end of this tutorial, do not cut your thread. Leave your thread attached. You're going to need it for part 3 next week when we complete this part and then we do the front. All right, so that's all I want to say about that. I'm not going to hold you up anymore. I'm going to let you get started creating the Rosy Red Filet top. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. Give yourself a long enough tail for weaving in ends at the end, okay? Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there, pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in there and give your work a tug. That is a slip knot. So, we'll start by making chains, and a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once. Don't make these chains too tight, yeah? Yarn over 2, yarn over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So don't make them too tight. Don't leave them too loose either, but don't make them too tight. So we've now done 10 chains. What we need to do is make the amount of chains to suit our size, all right? Once again, I will not be putting sizes up on the screen here. You will see your size in the description box down below or the more section down below of this video, okay? And there will be a timestamp. Check that timestamp in the description box down below. Make the amount of chains to suit your size. Meet me back here once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, now that you have reached the amount of chains you needed for your size, okay, what we're going to do here is make half trebles all the way across our piece. Now a half treble, we're going to actually place them in the back bump as well. Now the reason is because it will look the same underneath your work at the end of your project as it does up the top. And we'll explain that closer towards the end of our project, yeah? So what you want to do, you're here, you want to turn your project a little bit and find these little bumps that you see there. And I'll get a nice close-up for you, and excuse the fingers there, but just turn your work and you see the bumps are sitting up there. Your first one is right there. So you pop your hook in, you pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. Initially that's called a single crochet US, double crochet UK. But at this stage we're going to make 3 of these on top of each other. So see this little loop you see right here and the loop right next to it? You want to pop your hook by holding the thread with your thumb. You want to pop your hook in the very last loop, the base loop of that stitch. I call it the side base loop, yeah? So you pop your hook in, you pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. That's your second set. Then you want to do it again, a little tighter for me here. Pop your hook in that base side loop, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, and now we're going to pop a stitch marker in this stitch. Now I would suggest using stitch markers for this project. It's the top 2 loops of the stitch, because this can become a little confusing because this stitch looks like stitches, looks like chains, like 1, 2, 3, and then you've got 4, 5, 6. It kind of looks like chains. So it's easy to mess up and pop your stitch at the end of the row in the wrong stitch. All right, so we don't want to do that. So yarn over your hook. We're going to do a half treble US, half double treble UK. All right, initially we started our first single crochet in that back bump. So we want to go right over here. Make sure your yarn is over your hook here. So you're here, you want to go right over to the next back bump right there. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through. You've got 3 loops. Yarn over and pull it through just the first loop like so. You still have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. You have 2 loops left. Yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. To begin this stitch the first time can be a little awkward, but once you get the flow of it, it works relatively quickly. So yarn over your hook. There's your very next bump. Pop your hook in. Let's try that again. In. Pull a loop through. 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first loop. 3 loops left. Yarn over, pull through both those loops. Last 2 left. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, so let's try it one more time real close so you can see. And again, mind the fingers. So yarn over your hook in that back bump right there. Pull a loop through, 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 1 loop only. 3 loops left. Yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. 2 loops left. Yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. All right, so that's pretty much your stitch all the way. Let's bring it down completely. Oh, that's too far. I'm sorry, guys. Let's bring it down completely and just continue doing a couple of more stitches. Okay. And just pull through. And I find that when you get into the flow of it, it kind of works real quickly. Through the first, through the next 2, through the last 2. And so on, all the way across your piece. A relatively easy stitch. Just takes a little longer than your normal double crochet, but it is actually taller than your double crochet. All right, that's double crochet US treble UK. So it's actually taller, the stitch, which gives you a nice elongated stitch. So, and it'll actually give you a little bit of a stretch because we are using a 4.5mm hook when we should be using a 4. Oh, by the way, remember, if you have not done your gauge swatch, you need to check your gauge swatch first and use the hook size to suit your gauge swatch. I've left a link to part 1, the gauge swatch, in the description box down below. Create that swatch and then continue. Don't do this anymore if you haven't done your swatch because it means that your tension may not work the same as mine. All right, so there you go. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do 102,000 million stitches here. So what I want you to do is this stitch all the way across until you get to, just get to your last, I don't know, 2 back bumps right there, 1 and 2, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, head off on your own and do that now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of the row. Yeah, nice big long row, that's normal. And let's continue. I said get to your last, 2 stitches or whatever. I've got 2 stitches left to go. So there's 1 tucked in there. Whoops, try that again. Like so. And I've got 1 left right here, and I can see that big bump sticking up right there. Okay, so we're going to finish that stitch there. Now, when I said before, your base will look exactly the same as the top. So the top, you've got those little V-looking things. They are your stitches. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Underneath, it looks exactly the same. That is the look we're going for because it's not going to be a base row. That's it. We're not doing any ribbing or anything. It's just going to sit like that. All right. Oh, by the way, make sure you count your half trebles all the way across. Count them and check in the description box down below for the amount that you should have for your size. The description box or the more section down below. It'll be time-stamped here, time-stamped below. Check that you have the right amount of stitches for your size. And then let's continue. All right. First thing we need to do here is chain 1 and turn your work. Now you can turn it this way or you can turn it that way. We are working along the top stitches, all right? So ignoring your chain 1 in that stitch right there, yeah, right there. You're doing the standing half treble or stacked single crochet like we did before. So hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, like so. All right, and then we're going to do that side stitch again. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, that's the base side loop, remember? Yarn over your hook, pull through both those loops, that's the second one, okay? Then you go to that side base loop again, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. That's your 3rd stitch. Grab your stitch marker and pop it through the top 2 loops of your stitch, like so. Now, if you don't have stitch markers, safety pins, paper clips, a piece of thread, you don't have to have all these fancy, things. Just use whatever you have in stock, all right? So you're going to do your normal half treble in the very first stitch that you come to. It's actually the second, because your first is here and your second is there. So if you can't find it, just give it a stretch, and it's that top little space right there. 2 loops on top, like so, yeah? Pull a loop through, do your half treble. Yarn over, pull through 1, 3 loops left, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops left, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now, we're not going to do the exact same thing across, but we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip our first half treble and jump into the stitch of our next, okay? So you've got your yarn over your hook, skip the first one, go into the very next one, and do your half treble, like normal. So now you would have a little space like that, yeah? Then you're going to do exactly the same thing. Chain 1, skip this next stitch, go into the very next one and do your half treble. Pretty sure I mentioned that this pattern is going to be so easy. Chain 1, skip, half treble in the next. All right, very simple row. That's pretty much it. Chain 1, skip, half treble in your next stitch. I think you get the picture. Chain 1, skip, half treble in your next stitch. This is half treble US, half double treble UK. Chain 1 and so on all the way through. You should be getting this look all the way through. You should have 2 half trebles to begin with, and then chain 1 spaces and a half treble. Chain 1, half treble. Make sure you are skipping 1 half treble all the way through. Now, it might look a little bit awkward for this row. It's only because it's the first row we're doing. Once we do our next row, this will all sort itself out, all right? So very simple. I don't think I need to show you. Skip, chain 1, half treble in the next, skip, chain 1, half treble in the next. We'll do it the other way around. Chain 1, skip, half treble. Chain 1, skip, half treble. Chain 1, skip, half treble all the way across your piece. Get to 1, 2, 3. You got 2 there, 3, 4. Get to your 4th last stitch. Wait for me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to your last four stitches, or your 4th last stitch if you will. Make sure you've chained your 1, skip 1 like normal, go into your 2nd last stitch and do your normal half treble. And then you're not actually making a chain here, just yarn over your hook into your stitch with your stitch marker, pull a loop through, and you know how to do your half treble like normal. All right, remove your stitch marker, and this is what you have so far. All right, so what we've done here is we've done the same thing as this row, except we've done a chain space in between each stitch and place it in the next stitch. But when you look at your work from the top, these stitches that you're counting are exactly the same amount as what we have here. So count your stitches, make sure they are correct for your size. And again, if you want to know the stitch count for your size, please check the description box or the more section down below, and that will give you the stitch count. But all you need to do is remember the stitch count you had for your first row. It will be the same for your 2nd, 3rd, and so on, because you are counting the top of your stitches, not the half trebles here. All right, remember that, the top of your stitches. Gorgeous, that's it. Let's move on to the next row. Now, the next row is what we call our first row repeat. You're going to have a 2-row repeat for this pattern, okay? So the next row is our first row repeat. So all you need to do simply is this. Chain 1, turn your work, make your stacked single crochet or your standing half treble. So pop your hook into the stitch, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, and into the side base loop, pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both those loops, into the side base loop of your last stitch there, and do a normal single crochet, pop your stitch marker in there. All right, that's never going to change, right? Throughout today's tutorial, that will stay the same. Now here, before we did a half treble in the second stitch. So for this row, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is chain 1, yarn over your hook, skip that second half treble, jump into the space after it. So you're jumping into the space, over your chain 1 space that is, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over 1, yarn over 2, and yarn over 2. Gorgeous. Chain 1, skip the next half treble, into the space, exactly the same. 1, 2, and 2. Chain 1, skip 1, in. Make your stitch. Yeah? Chain 1, skip 1 into the next space, and make your stitch. Chain 1, pull up that loop. All right, so all you're doing in this row is filling up, if you have to think about what you're doing, is filling every space with a half treble and chaining 1 before you do it. Chain 1, fill the space. Chain 1, fill the space. Chain 1, fill the space, all the way across. Get to the very last space, all right, and just wait for me there. Simple, simple. It's a simple stitch all the way through. Chain 1, skip a half treble, and then do a half treble into the next chain space. Go ahead and do that now. Meet me back here once you're done and get ready for the next row. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to the end of this row. Gorgeous, look at that. Isn't it looking great here? So now I said to get to roughly around here. This is your second last space and you're doing your last half treble. Make sure you've chained your 1, yeah? And then chain 1 and you have the 2 half trebles. So what you're going to do here is skip that next half treble and pop your half treble into the stitch with your stitch marker, like so. Remove the stitch marker. And that's the end of your first row repeat. So if you have a careful look at the opposite side, it's exactly matching what we've done here. You've got your chain 1 space in between. All right, so that was the end of your first row repeat. Now you're going to do a second row repeat. So that's just chain 1, turn your work, do your stacked single crochet or your standing half treble. So you pop your single crochet like so and do your half little single crochet if you think about it, and do it again in that base side loop, and you've got your 3 single crochets. They're like piggyback single crochets, that's what I like to call them. Pop your stitch marker in the top 2 loops of that stitch. Now remember before how we chained 1 space here, and remember that previous row how we actually had a treble in your next stitch. So what we're going to do is not chain 1, we're going to put a treble in that chain space. All right, so in you go and do your normal half treble, and then we chain 1, skip over your half treble, chain 1, skip over your half treble, and you're going into chain space, exactly the same as what you've been doing in each row now. You're doing the same thing, okay? Chain 1 into the space. All right, I don't think I need to show you, plus I'm getting a knot. Can you see it right there? Getting a little knot. All right, so I don't think I need to show you anymore, okay? The only different part about this row than the other one is that you needed to put a half treble here without chaining 1 in the beginning. All right, so you've got your 2 half trebles in the beginning, and now it's just chain 1, skip a half treble and pop a half treble in the next chain 1 space. All right, so off you go doing that all the way through. Get to your space right here. Don't do this section, just get here, wait for me there, and we will talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked everyone to get to this area right here. Alright, and I said, I think I haven't finished one more. I need to finish one more there. Alright, I said don't complete that last space, because what we're going to do is still going to chain 1 and jump into the last space, like so, with our second last half treble, and our last half treble will be in the actual top stitch of our first half treble, or our last half treble if you will. Okay, now my thread is knotted, sorry guys. Now that's pretty much it for the second row repeat. But guess what guys, oh come on, do this right Mary, here we go. Guess what guys, if I leave it like that you won't see the whole thing, because some of us, you know, we have a few extra measurements than others. So what I've got here now is a 2-row repeat. So the pattern is actually row 3 and 4. Okay, 3 and 4. She can't count. So rows 3 and 4, you need to repeat rows 3 and 4 all the way through your top until you get to a final row, which we're going to do next week. All right, this first part that you've done here is just to show you the 2-row repeat that you have to do from now on. So your first row has the chain space in the beginning, your second row has the 2 half trebles. Yeah, so your first row has the chain space and your second row has the 2 half trebles. All right, I hope that made sense, but just copy rows 3 and 4 over and over again for your size. So how many rows do you need to do, I hear you ask? Check the description box down below for this timestamp. It will tell you how many rows to do for your size. It'll be rows 3 and 4 over and over again until you get to your size. Don't cut your yarn, don't cut it, because you are going to need to do a final row next week. This is all sizes, all right? Do the amount of rows you need for your size from the timestamp in the description box down below. Don't cut your thread. Meet me back here and we will all do one more row. And that will be the end of the back of your top. All right? So what I want you to do next week, it'll be this day next week, Thursday next week, where we will complete the back and then we will start the front and hopefully complete the front in the next tutorial as well. All right? So what I want you to do now is do that. Do all the rows you need to do for your size. Meet me back here next Thursday and we will complete our Halloween top. All right. Once again, a very special thank you to the lovely Pamela for her colour combination in today's tutorial. Don't forget, guys, if you want to be a part of Live Antics, please join us on Saturday mornings live at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. And one lucky subscriber on the live gets to choose the colour combination of our next tutorial. All right. So that's pretty much it. Make the rows you need for your size and I'll meet you back here next week. My name is Mary and this is Wow Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.